Tell us about the opt-out program, why you guys did it, what you hope to accomplish, and sort of how it's being received by the industry.
Yeah, the reaction's been pretty amazing. We figured people would either love it or hate it. Luckily, it's been the former. So, really, when you think about digital advertising, there's been expectation for years around understanding consumer privacy and the way that data can be leveraged for ad targeting, right? You think about ad choices, you think about some of the industry boards that have the ability to do opting out from data providers or across different devices. And over the last few years, unless you've been under a rock, everybody knows about all the advancements that have been made in terms of whether it's addressable television or connected TV with leveraging third-party data, whether it's demo data or auto intender or CPG, or advertisers wanting to leverage their first-party data to advertise on Roku and Apple TV and Fire TV, and that's amazing and that's great, and that's something that we've been a part of helping to push the ecosystem on doing. But there's something that wasn't happening, and that was the same types of protections and controls that the consumer had across desktop and mobile for how data was used to reach them with targeted advertising was not really there at any sort of scalable or viable solution across connected TV. And so, partners of ours that we've been working with for a while, like Videology and others, we worked together to create a solution for them because they were really, really concerned in making sure that they had those protections in place. And then there were other publishers and data providers here and there that we were working with. And we really just figured, it's better for the entire ecosystem to make sure that there's a comprehensive, more inclusive way for the consumer to control opt-out and privacy controls that could be, leveraged across multiple devices, multiple publishers, across connected TV and OTT. And from working with all those partners over the last, say, really focused in, say, last 12 to 14 months, we developed optout.tv and we launched it today. So now consumers can go on optout.tv, or we'll have apps that they can go right from their remote on their device in the app, and they can decide to opt out from interest-based advertising, or they can enhance their profile. So they can say, hey, I want to give you even better data about me in terms of maybe how many people live in my home or my age or income, to even make my ad experience even better. So it's called optout.tv, but you could also call it enhance.tv as well, because it allows for people to do both.
So tell us where you think it's going to roll out in terms of platforms. It seems, in terms of, what viewing experience will be changed first, or how you see it being rolled out?
Yeah, so our entire go-to-market strategy with our data management platform, our data marketplace, with everything, was more focused with dealing with the data partners and the ad tech platforms more so than the device manufacturers. And the reason for that, which may be contrarian to how a lot of other people have gone to market, is because across the over-the-top and connected TV ecosystem, almost none of the actual ad inventory is controlled by the device manufacturers. I mean, there's some that have their own, ad networks like Roku and others, but for the most part, very little of connected TV inventory is controlled by the device manufacturers. And so even if you opted out on an individual device, right? I won't name one because I don't want anybody to have a heart attack, right? But pretty much any of all of them, right? If you opted out on that connected TV device or smart TV device or game console, what have you, that because they didn't control their advertising ecosystem and it was very fragmented by the SSPs or the different publishers, it doesn't really mean anything, right? So it's not like that data then goes to every publisher on that device and the SSPs that are working with them to broadcast their inventory and the DSPs that are buying that programmatically. So relative to opting out from advertising, it was somewhat irrelevant. And so we knew that it was most important to work with the actual publishers, that when you opt out from a specific television network or publisher, you can opt out at one time across their Apple TV app, their Roku, their Fire TV. And so we really work more with them.
So Andre, let me ask you this. So it's sort of an addressable situation. So in other words, if I'm watching my device and I opt out, how does it know that when I opt out, I own that particular Roku or that game console?
Yeah. So Tru Optik has a household graph, right? So we have tens of millions of homes in the U.S. that we have anonymously mapped back to a persistent Tru Optik ID, which then we can understand against that Tru Optik ID, what are the cookies, what are the device IDs, what are the IP addresses, what are the connected TV user agent strings. And so if you're in that household and you're tied back to that household ID and you decide to opt out, we understand what household to opt it out to. Part of the thing it says that, hey, you have permission to be the person opting this household out. But we really thought it was better to be more cautious than not. We rather opt out a household from leveraging data, and maybe they didn't want to be opted out, than the reverse, which is to retarget a household or to leverage an advertiser's first-party data or third-party data against a household that really didn't want that. And so we always err on the side of caution when it comes to consumer choices and consumer privacy.
Great. And Andre, just briefly, an overview of CES and in terms of the emergence of OTT as a viable medium and things you've been hearing, seeing, talking.
Yeah, so this year CES, I think we first met a couple years ago at CES, and when we were talking then about connected TV and OTT, I think I was one of the only people really talking about some of the data strategies, and even with even the year before that, most people ran us out of the room and they thought that Tru Optik was crazy. What I'm really excited about, not just at CES, but with a lot of the big events, or whether it's in Europe or in the US, is that I think people realize how important connected TV is now. It's no longer this additive thing in terms of maybe getting some more reach. It's a very, very significant part of any sort of cross-screen strategy, and there's millions and millions of homes in the United States that can only really be reached on connected TV because they don't have linear television and they have ad blockers across desktop and mobile. And also the amount of people, typically it used to be seen as kind of a millennial thing, but OTT connected TV is an everybody thing, from every age group, every demo, and so I think here we're seeing the agencies, the advertising platforms, the device manufacturers, everybody's doubling down and tripling down on connected TV and OTT now.